Oh yay, so we're gonna get started again. Hello, we're gonna get started. You're gonna take a seat, please. So, is Andrea? Is Andrea here? No, you don't need to be here, not just yet. Yeah, we'll invite you up pretty soon here. So. All right, so hi everybody. I skipped church today, so my nephew was getting baptized at First Baptist, so I went there and had a good dose of church there and came here for the end of it actually. So lots of church for me this morning. So it's nice to be here. I thought I'd just give a brief rundown of the process from my perspective and from council's perspective, and then we'll have some questions, answers, discussion, and then vote. So it shouldn't be a long meeting, I don't think. So. I just wanted to say we've been working on this process, as I'm sure you know, for well over a year. I don't remember the exact date but we're wrestling with this. How should we take care of our youth? We came up with this plan. It was Travis's idea. I don't want to take credit there, but the partnership with Young Life and our church, and we thought, yeah, this sounds like a great plan, right? So we came to you and we voted on it. Good, and then great. Let's put the advertisement out and. It's nothing, right? I mean, we just took a long time to get any applicants coming. We had a few, and they had some really good resumes, and we had on two occasions we tried to set up some interviews, and they just didn't happen. One was a no-show. It was kind of awkward, so it was strange, and it was, to be honest, it was discouraging. I was discouraged. I was very discouraged, right? And why is this taking so long? Because we really want to take care of our youth, right? And later on, very recently, Barry Folds would say somewhere, I'm going to try to paraphrase him here. He says, perhaps we needed to align ourselves with what God has already been doing in our church. And I thought that was very wise, right? Because Andrea has been, and others as well. You know, we're very thankful to Isaac and to Andrea and the Ronalds for opening up their place and many of the volunteers. But I think that was really, really spot on what Barry said. Andrea applied, I believe, in December, and then we kind of had to be a little bit tight-lipped about that for a while we went through the process. So we had an interview, and I want to say thanks again to Alistair for being on the hiring committee, and then Travis and I, and then Paige Kirk from Young Life. So it was a process we had to go through. So we had one interview, and it went very well, of course. We checked references, and I just wrote down a few notes here, some of the references they said. So Andrea is coachable, receptive to feedback, asks questions, very good at communicating, active, always does her best. If she makes a mistake, she will be open about it and will be a great fit to work with and empower our youth. And there were many more things said about her, but those are some of the highlights I thought were good. So we had a second interview, and we were pleased to tell Andrea that we're moving forward with this. So then we went to council, and we all approved this recommendation. Of course, final word from you as well. So questions and answers. So Andrea, why don't you come up here? Questions for me or for Andrea, and if I can't answer a question, Travis will be here too, and Alistair. So are there any questions or discussion?
Adam had something to add to
Yeah.
as well.
Money man.
There we go. So here's an obvious question. Can we afford a half-time pastor? And so those of you in council have seen this graph. It actually comes from Doug, and I've just been kind of continuing it along. So what it's showing there in the red is what our current bank balance is. In the blue there is our monthly giving. You can see that our bank balance in the past probably year or so has been growing quite steadily. It's up, like if you look at about this time last year, you're at about 60,000, I think, or so. A key point is, I'll point it out right here, that's when Zach started. And so from that point, kind of my big question was going to be, is our bank balance going to go up? Is it going to go down? Is it going to be level with just 2 pastors, right? And you can see since that point, it's continued to go up. A caveat to that, though, is that December was in there, right? And December is always by far and away our biggest giving month. And so I don't think we can count on it to go up as much as it has since October. But it's a very good sign that we're up about $20,000 or so since October. And so kind of the moral of the story is that right now our bank balance is very healthy. It went down a bit in January. January is typically a lower giving month, but we're hovering just under $100,000 in the bank. And so that gives us a pretty good cushion in case our cash flow is negative with 2.5 pastors, right? And so I guess kind of the moral of the story is, yes, we do have the money right now, but we will need continued giving, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see this bank balance come down. The position, I believe, is a 2-year position, right? And so in my opinion, we have enough of a buffer there that we can pretty comfortably commit to the 2 years. At that point, our giving would very likely have to come up a little bit because, like I say, I would anticipate that our bank balance will go down a little bit every month with this setup. But we have essentially, so one of the things that Doug set up in the past was if our bank balance went below $30,000, we started to cut expenses, right? And so right now we've got essentially a $60,000 to $70,000 kind of buffer. And with this position, that essentially is 2 years worth of salary, right? And so I would say that we pretty comfortably do have enough money.
You're also only covering half. Young Life
Exactly.
is
So
covering
yeah, so Young Life is covering half of the salary, so that is definitely an important point to make. Yeah. So any questions for me before I turn it over? Go ahead.
I know that there's like, for example, like a fund that's for like separate, that's like a refugee fund
Mhm.
that is
Yep.
being taxed. So is that included?
Nope, that's not included in that. That has, is Carol here, I think it has around $6,000 in it. Of that, I think most of it is set aside for refugee stuff. So this is not including that. And this also doesn't include, so every month we set aside a little bit of money for big expenses. The only real one we have right now that we know is going to happen is our building insurance, which we put aside essentially $1,000 a month into that bank account. And then at the end of the year, that money is used to pay our like $10,000 insurance bill. So that way we don't have a big drop every October.
Great.
We kind of have a small drop every month. So, yeah. Any other questions, Ralph?
Just out of curiosity, Young Life is responsible for half of the payroll.
Mhm.
And then I've heard something where Andrea or the employee is responsible for raising a portion of that.
Small portion, it's like $10,000. So like the way Brendan Widener, who's the coastal region director, explained it to me is Neighborhood Church puts in half, Young Life Canada puts in a portion, Young Life Nanaimo puts in a portion, and I am responsible for a very small piece. He said it came out roughly usually to about $10,000 to fundraise.
But they're jumping in, so Young Life is really good at that, right? I mean, they have what's the word I'm looking for, good apparatus in fundraising, so they will give Andrea a lot of support to do that.
Well, I would, with any fundraising that I do, I tap my personal network and then try to branch out from there. And they said to, like, we could hold fundraising events, we can do, like, there's a lot of different ways to make it through there. So
And she's really good at that too.
I try.
Would you hope to use your church connections?
Hopefully, if some of you want to donate extra, I'll take it.
Steffi first?
This may have been mentioned, but what is the remaining balance on the mortgage for our church?
Yeah, it's around $50-ish thousand, and the maturity date is 2025, I believe.
2026.
2026. Yeah. So,
The maturity
yeah.
date of just this?
As in, like, we'll have it fully paid off. And so right now that's around $1,700 a month.
$1,700 a month.
Yeah. And so it's like at that point we'll have another $1,700 a month to use.
And at that point, what happens with the conference and the ownership of the mortgage? Like, what role would the conference then have in what we could do with the land or the building at that time?
Yeah. So I think technically the conference owns the property, right? But we took out a mortgage on it to do the renovations, whatever it was, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. And we would that would be paid off. And so essentially we wouldn't be, because the mortgage is held by the conference, and so we just are giving the conference that money every month. We would just stop giving it to them. I don't think it would change anything about our actual status with the conference.
Sorry, that was loosely related. But
Yeah, just
The
in
money
terms of
question is important.
Yeah.
Susan?
Yeah, I have a money question. The 10,000, is that over 2 years or is that per year?
That is a good question. I think it would
think
be
it's
per year.
The $10,000, is it for the 2-year term or the 1 year? And my
I
guess is
feel
it's
like
one.
it would be 1 year,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. Barry?
Question about the 10,000 as well. How do we actually give money to that specific item?
It-
And is it tax deductible?
It is tax deductible, which is a huge bonus. It would go, Young Life would set up an account for me where you could donate specifically to my employment, and then it would go into that account.
When that's done, can we have that
Yes,
published somehow?
yes.
Doug?
Yeah, just wondering, I didn't know it was a 2-year term until it was just mentioned. So can we just get not a job description per se, but what it is that we will be voting for then? Like it's a 2-year term and what is job? And I don't want every detail.
Yeah.
Well, the basic gist is that it's half running the youth program here at Neighborhood, the junior high program, or what is for us the 7 to 10. We have a couple grade 11s, but a lot of them are Young Life connected. And then it would be half-time doing the Young Life contact work in the schools, running club on Thursday nights, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's the job description is the one that we voted on as a community, like whenever that
Way
was
back
now,
in
it was
the
almost
day.
a year ago.
Long time ago, yeah.
So that is still posted on our website, so if you want to see what it is, it's the one that we have given out before, it hasn't been changed or edited. So it's still that same one, and just as Andrea described, it's 50-50 split, but we are recognizing that both are working in the area of youth and there's some overlap, so
Yeah.
it's a bit, I'm thinking of it as a Venn diagram. There's stuff that are covering both bases at the same time, and then there is going to be some components that are unique to Young Life and some components that are unique to Neighborhood Church, and so
When
Part-
we have youth that cross over too,
yeah,
so.
yeah. And part of the vision of this job is to help our youth feel connected to this faith community, so that when they graduate, they do feel like they're interconnected and woven in to the fabric of our community. And it's the same for the kids who come in through Young Life, who meet Jesus. We want them to also have a faith community that they can go to. It's not necessarily going to be the case that they'll land here, but we hope to be a welcoming space for them if that's what they choose.
Ralph?
One other question. I'm making an assumption here, but I hope you have an office.
Yeah, I get the office that's like currently being used as a storage room, so Travis's old office, that has been designated for me.
Yep, Jen?
Do you find that there's any conflict between what theology or philosophy of Young Life in comparison to what we at Neighborhood are? Like, have you found that?
I haven't, no. I think one of the things that stands out as a positive is that both of us want to be able to meet people where they're at, and you earn the right to be heard. It's about relationship, and that's how Jesus practiced too. And so, that's a positive. But no, in what I've looked at for Young Life and what I've looked at for Neighborhood, I don't see a major conflict theologically at all. For like either organization or me being able to sign something, so.
And that's something we certainly discussed when we were starting this partnership as well, and I think our values align quite well.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Yeah?
What is Young Life already doing in Nanaimo?
So Young Life Nanaimo has actually been around for a long time. They have a club presence that meets every Thursday. There's about 17 kids that come out to that. They have a big presence in Nanaimo Christian School. There's a presence in ND. There has in the past been a presence in Barsby. It all just depends on where we can get in and are allowed to build. Christian organizations aren't always welcome in a public school. But it does have a presence in Nanaimo and has for a number of years now. And we are slowly increasing our number of kids. We're slowly increasing our number of leaders. I've even seen that in the last 2 months that I've been volunteering with them. So, in a rebuilding year as well, I think.
What does support look like from us as your community as stepping into this position? What do you need from, besides money? And what does that look like?
Everybody needs money. I know for me, I'm somebody who sometimes needs to be reminded that self-care is not optional. So feel free to call me out on that. But I think, like I've said, like people in this community have been praying for me already. Please keep doing that, especially now the stakes just got raised. So, but yeah, just building that relationship, that community, and volunteering at youth events. When I ask drivers, please remember to sign permission slips if you're a parent. All of those things make my life easier. But yeah, I'm sure some of those things I'm sure will bring other things up too.
We'll just make a quick logistical comment around the vote itself. So we created a Google poll that we sent out. So some people struggle with Google polls, and that's totally fine. You can also email Neighborhood Church or Russ. And,
Or even just tell us.
Yeah, or just tell Russ. Yeah,
Write a note.
yeah. So anyway, that was it. Just a housekeeping.
How long is the vote open?
Till 3 p.m. So you can vote till 3 p.m.
Yeah. So I don't know if there are any other questions, but I was going to say this is not directly related to this, but it is related. You might be wondering about council, so we don't feel it's appropriate for Andrea to stay on as board of management. So we have found an interim board of management chair there, which is going to be Glenn Wackles, and I love that guy. I said, hey Glenn, this is the situation. Can you do it? And he said, yep. Perfect. So thank you, Glenn. Right. So we have June AGM coming up. Then we'll figure out some more things then. But in the interim, we've got Andrea will be passing the torch off to Glenn.
Do we have a start date for Andrea?
Shooting for March 1st. But
Yeah, we're looking for March 1st.
I'm kind of working with Young Life. So Andrea's going to have 2 supervisors in this role, and so. What I'm doing this week is meeting with, lucky, hey? So lucky.
2 bosses is better than 25.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm meeting with Paige, who's employee with Young Life, the area director with Young Life, and so we're just kind of fine-tuning the details on it, because all of the benefits and the pay is actually going to funnel through Young Life, so we're going to be contributing the set amount that we've already, discussed. But everything's going through their end. So on our end, we're ready. And so if we can confirm that they're ready, our hope is for March 1st.
March 1st.
Yeah.
Which is a Wednesday.
Yeah. They're going to shoot that night.
Like the quorum, like it's the amount of people that are here.
For quorum?
Like is it going to be 50%, 51%?
Oh, the vote percentage that I would need to officially be hired?
75, we said.
75 is usually the number.
Yeah.
I think that was our precedent.
Yeah.
I'm going to defer to Russ and Adam on that.
We did.
We're not voting here, Susan, we're voting online. People who aren't here can participate.
Yeah.
You can vote before you go. You can talk to
Yeah.
Russ after. We just
You
didn't
can.
want to do a show of hands things in case people aren't comfortable with that and so forth, right? So, but just talk to Russ on your way out, and you can absolutely do that.
Adam, you look
Well,
like you-
just I
you
think
said
in
something,
terms of like having enough people for the vote to be official for that sort of quorum, like I think in our constitution there wasn't anything that was specifically set for that. So I don't think we've I don't think that there's anything specific that's in there for that.
So feels like the questions are winding down here. So last call for a question or comment. Going once, going twice. So how about I want to be careful not to be presumptuous because the vote hasn't happened yet, but I'm feeling pretty good about this. So I would like to just close the meeting off. A quick prayer. Okay. So Thank you, Lord, for our church. Thank you for Andrea. Thank you for her willingness to help out in our church and help the youth. Thank you for her heart, and I pray you give us wisdom as we go forward. Thank you for the people who came to ask questions, and we just pray for our youth. Thank you for this church and our youth. Amen. Enjoy your Sunday.
So is it you that's calling me officially later?
I will call you.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.